there's going to be neurologic brain symptoms that are directly correlated to kidney disease. That's a section of what we're going to talk about. Patients who get kidney disease. Why don't I get patients who get cancer? Why don't I get these things? And now I'm realizing as I read more and go on some level, I know it sounds a bit cavalier to say that, but I've come to this conclusion because.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kidney Coach YouTube channel. I'm naturopathic Dr. Fiona Chin, co-founder of Kidney Coach and the Kidney Disease Solution and our products Kaigenesis. And I have the pleasure of being joined again today by one of my favorite guests and favorite people in the world, Dr. Morgan Camp. Hey, Morgan, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Hi, Fiona, and hi, all your fans out there in the audience. Very happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
So if you haven't listened to a podcast with Dr. Camp before, he is a functional medicine practitioner. He's been in the functional medicine field for well over 20 years. And you really got in there right from the get-go. Morgan's got a great story that I think we dive into on some other podcasts, but he got into the functional medicine aspect very, very early on. So has been very much in this field. And just one of the things when you get to know Morgan, and one of the things I really appreciate about you, Morgan, is that he really is a continual student, goes out and learns more and more and more and more. He knows so much on bioidentical hormones and longevity and infections and immunotherapy and detoxification and all those sort of things and stress-related illnesses. And then, just keeps expanding his knowledge. So every time I talk to Dr. Camp, he's gone down the rabbit hole of something new and amazing and is just learning every single thing he can about it so he can pass it on to his patients. So he's what I call a true healer, very, very good at getting to the cause, very, very interested at treating people as a person and not a disease, and really is invested in getting people super well and will go out of his way to learn whatever he can to help that happen for people. So we're going to dive into a topic that actually quite a few of my people from my mastery course have been asking me about, and that is the kidney-brain axis, which I've gone and looked and no one really talks about this. And one of the biggest symptoms that people with chronic kidney disease will talk about is the brain fog and the not being able to concentrate, and then actually also mental health disease that we do come along with this. And so I wanted to dive into this as a topic today. So first off, what is the kidney-brain axis? What am I even talking about when I put those two words together?
Good question. Everybody has a little different interpretation of everything, right? So, it's a complex. The way I think of it is our kidneys have many roles, right? I think in this context, one of the things we're talking about is detoxification of toxins and the things we need to get out of there. So from one very simple perspective, it makes common sense why we would have neurological symptoms when our kidneys aren't working, just because the toxins aren't being cleared properly. But it's actually a lot more complex than that, of course. What else? What else does that mean to you, Fiona? Interested.
Well, I think people are beginning to get familiar with the term the gut-brain axis. So people know, okay, this microbiome, we know our gut makes 75% of our serotonin. We know that if the microbiome's out, and I think the other thing that people may or may not know is this leaky gut syndrome, where the gut lining that should look like this becomes like that. And we know that the blood-brain barrier up in the brain tends to mimic the gut barrier. So if you've got a leaky gut syndrome, I often say you've got leaky brain syndrome. And I think
I was going to say, and it's likely that there's some leaky kidney issue going on there also, right? Yeah.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I think when you've got leaky gut and chronic kidney disease, there's a leaky kidney going on. And I think with leaky kidney, we know the microbiome and kidney health are interrelated. I think when you're in chronic kidney disease, there's going to be probably an aspect of leaky gut going on because of what you mentioned with the detox, which is going to have this leaky brain barrier. So I think, it's that interplay that we're sort of looking at everything, right?
The way I was thinking about this topic, and interestingly, I'm having pretty good brain fog here today. And just a brief aside to add to what you're saying about my path. I mean, my unique relationship to everything I talk about is personal. So, I've had personal experience with everything we talk about. My kidney function, I think the lowest it got down to was in the GFR in the 40s, I believe, high 40s. So that hasn't been the worst thing I've had, but most everything else I've had experience with, including brain fog, which I have some today. So I do think sometimes I actually could be more detailed when I have brain fog, actually. I might have a little focus issues, so bear with me if I have focus issues today. The way I would break this down would be into two categories, okay? So bear with me for a second. So there's going to be neurologic brain symptoms that are directly correlated to kidney disease. That's a section of what we're going to talk about. I think the larger group is the brain fog and neurological symptoms caused by the disease processes that cause the kidney disease in the first place, right? So the one thing I've come to appreciate lately is that everything I do in my practice prevents all illness, almost all illnesses. And I've been perplexed. I've been sitting here going, well, why don't I get patients in my practice who get kidney disease? Why don't I get patients who get cancer? Why don't I get these things? And now I'm realizing as I read more and go dive into deeper things, people that I've worked with and I'm talking about people that I've worked for 10 or 15 years who we've really fine-tuned everything and got them in good health. What I've come to appreciate is a lot of them, they're in good health. So we're preventing all disease processes on some level. I know it sounds a bit cavalier to say that, but I've come to this conclusion because I've been scratching my head for the last many years going, I don't really get too many cancer patients. And I don't mean cancer like new patients. I mean in my clientele. And I've been scratching my head going, I don't know why. I guess maybe I just take healthy people come to see me. It's a bias. That's what a scientist would say. It's a bias. And I don't get people that are going to get cancer. But I had a friend, I've had several friends with cancer lately, and so I've been researching it. And there's a big topic on this called the metabolic causes of cancer. And I'm looking at that book, and I'm like, that's what I do in my practice. That's what I do. This is what they're treating cancer just like I treat every person now. So I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. This is why I'm not seeing cancer. So long story short, I am learning to appreciate that the disease processes produce a myriad of symptoms. And doctors and patients alike, myself included, tend to blame all the symptoms on whatever disease we have, right? So we have kidney disease. Oh, and I've got a brain fog. It must be from the kidney. Well, maybe not, right? Why do you have the kidney disease? So that's how I would think about it. I had that epiphany today. So I thought it'd be wise just to start with that. And also, encourage people, to avoid that error of logic that most doctors make and most patients make, is that don't ascribe everything you have to that one disease you have, right? And maybe think of it a little broader. Is there another disease process happening, or is this maybe the underlying issue that's causing both, but it's not from, so I would encourage people to start looking at it like that. So with that in mind, the way I prepared for this was like, let's just go over all the causes of brain fog. And man, I've had them all. So it was pretty easy, just write them all down and go through them all. And even maybe if we have time, go over some like lab tests and how to distinguish between the different ones. So people have some practical tips for that. And it might be that we need to come back and do a second one or dive deeper into some of the deeper issues.
If you want to know more about what we do, head to kidneycoach.com. You can see our products on there, and make sure you hit like and subscribe. That way you will get notified anytime we put up more information. I will definitely get Dr. Camp back on to do a How to Clear Uric Acid Naturally podcast. But if there's anything else you'd like to hear and talk about, or more information on this, chuck in the comments below. I can always reach out to Dr. Camp to get an answer. And then, of course, I'll put his website in below. You can reach him directly through the website if you want to make a consultation and booking with him. Thanks again for listening. Dr. Camp, thank you again for your knowledge, time, and wisdom, and for being who you are. We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thank you.